My ex filed for divorce the same week his mother delivered a 3-inch binder labeled Timeline of Infidelity to our doorstep, and he said the words I never thought he would say. He said his mother had proof, and he could not live in a lie. I stood in the kitchen with coffee going cold and the binder's red tabs slicing the air like warnings. I said, "Let me see it." He said his mother told him not to let me contaminate evidence. The word evidence felt theatrical until he packed a bag and left. The first tab read Spring Break. Inside there were glossy photos of me outside a downtown hotel. My face looked exhausted in one, determined in another. The captions were typed in neat Arial. Lunch with supervisor, 2 hours unaccounted, returns with messy hair. My stomach turned because I had been there. Not for an affair. I had chaired a volunteer training in the ballroom for my hospital's community program. I said this to him when he returned to pick up shoes. He nodded like a jury foreman who had already decided. He said his mother had dates, times, and camera pulls. He said I could explain it to a judge. I called my friend Kayla, who remembers everything. She texted me the event invite from that week with my name printed under host. I saved it to a folder I named Binder, then added my calendar entry, the ballroom invoice, and an email chain with the hotel's catering team. I breathed again, a small shallow breath. I told myself a judge would care about paper. The second tab said Tuesday late. It had a photo of me stepping off a bus at 10:43 p.m. and a picture of a bar sign. The caption said leaves bus near tavern, returns home 90 minutes later. My heart pounded because this one reached back into a night I had tried to forget, the night a friend from group texted that she was sitting outside the bar after a fight and needed a ride because her partner took the keys. I went because I am soft for crying friends. I ordered water and pretzels and drove her to her sister's. I found a receipt in my email for parking at 10:51 p.m. and an Uber receipt at 12:21 a.m. because a tow truck blocked my car. I dragged both into the binder folder and told myself the world still made sense. His mother kept sending emails with the subject line Concerned Citizen, copying my ex and his lawyer. She added bullet points that said patterns of deception, classic tactics. She CC'd my ex's aunt and a friend from church who once told me I should wear longer skirts to be taken seriously. I replied only once. I wrote that I would respond through counsel. Then I hired counsel. My lawyer sat across from me in a conference room with a painting of a leaf that looked expensive. She said she had seen binders like this. She said homemade investigators are skilled at arranging true things to make false ones. She asked for my digital life. Calendar, email, phone backups, geotags if available, card statements, work schedules. She asked if there was anything I needed to confess. I said nothing beyond being human, tired, and occasionally late to my own life. She said we would request the original image files from his mother, not photocopies, because metadata tells stories paper cannot. I went home to an apartment that sounded like a jar with its lid sealed. I slept on one side of the bed and made tea in silence. I took photos of the binder's tabs and added them to my folder. I called the hotel and asked for a letter confirming the volunteer training. The coordinator wrote back and attached the ballroom log with my badge in and out. I emailed my bus card provider for tap records and downloaded my map history. Every small document felt like a bead I could string into a rope and throw over a high wall. When his lawyer sent a settlement offer that included me moving out within 30 days, I stared until the words blurred. The rationale section quoted moral turpitude. The phrase looked medieval next to my grocery receipts. I closed my laptop and held my phone like a talisman. I texted Kayla that I was not crazy. She replied that I was not and that she would testify in sneakers if it came to that. I put my hand on the binder's cover and said to no one, "This story is not yours to write." Discovery felt like sweeping a beach with a toothbrush. My lawyer filed a request for all original photos and videos, not screenshots, not printouts. We asked for device names, capture dates, and the names of any apps used. His mother objected and wrote that a good woman does not need metadata to prove her innocence. My lawyer replied that a good court does. The first delivery arrived in a padded envelope. A flash drive with folders labeled hotel, bar, and friend's house. The friend's house folder made me laugh and then sit down. It showed my car parked outside my childhood friend Lena's duplex a year earlier with a timestamp from a Saturday. The caption said secret visit while husband at work. The truth was boring. Lena had borrowed my sewing machine and I picked it up. We ate pasta on the stoop. I messaged Lena and she found a photo of us holding a crooked hem. She also found a text from my ex's mother that same night asking if she had seen me around, written like a neighborly check-in. I added both to my folder. The lab we retained is the sort that ruins television. No dramatic reveals, only charts and calm sentences. They examined the original image files. I sat with the analyst on Zoom while she shared a screen filled with hex and boxes. She said the hotel folder contained real photos with altered timestamps. She could see the capture clock had been changed back and forth around the date in question because the sequence numbers jumped inconsistently. She said one image showed an internal camera model that did not match the phone listed in the device metadata until 20 minutes later. The bar folder contained screenshots of my social posts with fresh timestamps pasted below in a font that looked close at a glance and wrong when magnified. The Friend's House folder had authentic images paired with captions added months later in the Notes app before export. We compared the lab report to my records. My bus taps placed me across town at the times the binder said I was elsewhere. My parking app showed payments that matched the tow truck night. The hotel ballroom log had a door access record that matched the time one photo claimed I was exiting a lounge. A strange relief washed through me and then anger chased it. I felt pranked by people who would call it concern. We subpoenaed footage from the hotel security desk for that volunteer day. The video showed me loading a plastic tub of brochures into a rideshare at 5:18 p.m., hair up, tote bag heavy, the exact tote that still lived on my closet shelf. We overlaid the lab's analysis with that clip. My lawyer smiled without showing teeth and said this is weight. My ex's lawyer requested my phone for imaging and I handed it over in a conference room with an empty chair where my ex should have been. He sent a message that said he could not face me. I replied that he had already made a choice to face a binder instead. He did not answer. His mother called the clerk to ask if she could attend the imaging. The clerk said no and hung up, and I laughed for the first time in weeks. At the temporary hearing for exclusive use of the apartment, his lawyer argued that my presence would cause him emotional harm. My lawyer asked to approach and handed the judge the lab's preliminary report and my volunteer letter. The judge read quietly, tapping a pen. She asked whether opposing counsel had reviewed the data. He said he had just received it. She granted me exclusive use for now and set a date for an evidentiary hearing. My legs shook under the table. My lawyer touched my elbow like a flag that says keep going. That night I walked through each room and put my hand on the furniture. It sounds silly unless you have put your life into a place. The kitchen table we sanded. The plant that survived 3 winters. The cheap rug with better days than it deserves. I told them all we had time. I put the binder in a tote in the tote by the door. In the morning I would go to work, attend a meeting I had been avoiding, and then return to build a better stack than the one his mother built. Outside, the city hummed like a fridge, steady and indifferent, which somehow comforted me more than thoughts of people. The evidentiary hearing arrived with a gray sky and a lineup of cases that sounded like variations of people trying not to drown. We sat second row. My ex stared at the table. His mother sat behind him with a tote bag that matched the binder's tabs. My lawyer whispered that we would move slow and let paper carry the weight. Opposing counsel called his mother first. She straightened her scarf and spoke like a teacher. She said she launched her own investigation after sensing distance. She said a woman knows. She described my supposed patterns and held up printouts with arrows and circles. The judge asked if she used any software to organize or enhance the photos. She said she simply printed what the phone provided. My lawyer rose and asked whether she ever changed the date or time on any device. She paused and said she adjusted to match the household clock, nothing more. My lawyer asked if she knew what EXIF meant. She said no. Our analyst took the stand next. No drama, only facts. She explained EXIF in a sentence the judge could quote. She showed a side-by-side of a photo from the binder and the corresponding original, with the internal capture counter skipping in a way it should not if a clock had remained constant. She pointed to a font mismatch in the screenshot captions and a layer boundary where text had been pasted. She showed that one image said it came from a model of phone released after the date printed on the paper. The judge leaned in. Opposing counsel objected once, then let the current pull him. My lawyer called the hotel coordinator by video. He held up a ballroom schedule with my name. He scrolled to the access log that showed my badge opening the staff door at the exact time the binder claimed I was in a lounge. He looked bored and professional, a combination unbeatable in court. Then we played the security clip of me loading a tub into a car while on the hotel steps a bridal party posed for photos. The date stamp in the lower corner matched the internal footage clock, matched my calendar, matched my email thread with the caterer about desserts for volunteers. Paper stacked to the ceiling without raising its voice. We submitted my bus card taps, my parking receipt from the tow night, and the Uber trip that moved me from the bar to a safe couch. The Uber driver wrote a statement confirming he saw me escort a crying woman to a sister's door. He wrote that I smelled like pretzels and water. The court reporter smiled at that and then looked down again. The judge asked my ex if he wanted to testify. He stared at the table and said no. The judge asked if he wanted time to review the analysis with counsel. He looked at his mother and then at me. He said he believed his mother. The judge said belief is free and judgments are not. She said we would reconvene after counsel reviewed the report. She ordered the original device used to capture the photos to be produced to the lab within 7 days. She warned about sanctions for spoliation. Opposing counsel nodded. His mother whispered to him and he shushed her. The sound echoed too loudly in that room. Outside, in the hall, my ex approached me and said he felt sick. I said I did too and that sickness is not the same as truth. His mother stood at the end of the hall and filmed us until a bailiff told her to put the phone away. I wanted to rage. I did not. I told my lawyer I needed a sandwich and air. We ate on a bench and watched pigeons argue like small lawyers with wings. The next week the lab received his mother's phone. The internal clock showed multiple manual adjustments around 3 dates. The photo edit history showed duplicated images with new captions. A set of GPS tags pointed not to the hotel lounge but to her kitchen, where she had apparently photographed the printouts on her counter to make them look like candid captures. The analyst wrote a sentence I read 3 times. The examined media shows multiple indicators of manipulation inconsistent with routine device use. Opposing counsel asked to settle. My lawyer said we would proceed and seek fees. I slept that night without waking to check a folder. I dreamed of the hotel ballroom, empty and clean, chairs pushed in, stage lights cooling. Sanctions day felt smaller than I expected. No fireworks, just paperwork. The judge asked a few questions about process, then read a short ruling. She found that the evidence submitted by the petitioner's mother was altered in material ways. She sanctioned the petitioner's side for fees associated with the forensic analysis and the court's time on the evidentiary matter. She referenced the doctrine of unclean hands with a tone that sounded like a parent saying clean up your mess. She restored my exclusive use of the apartment pending final division and encouraged the parties to negotiate with reality. Afterward, outside the courthouse, my ex said he was sorry. He said he let his mother steer because steering scares him. I said fear is honest and choices are separate. He said he wanted to fix it. I said we were past fixing and living. He nodded like a man signing a receipt he cannot read. We parted at the curb while his mother filmed a sidewalk crack and spoke to her phone about injustice. I did not listen. We settled a month later. I kept the apartment. Fees came from his share. We each kept our retirements. The final decree read like a bland menu, which is how freedom looks on paper. The judge included a line noting the court's finding of altered evidence. My lawyer framed that page for her office wall, not mine, and we laughed because it was easier than crying. I boxed his remaining shirts and left them with the doorman. I changed the Wi-Fi name. I ordered a new kettle. Kayla came over with pizza and said the apartment looked bigger. I said maybe I had been shrinking to fit someone else's story. We stacked the binder's pages into a recycling bag. For a second my hands shook like I was destroying proof. Kayla said we had copies, we had reports, we had enough. We took the bag out together. Weeks later, his mother sent a typed apology that did not use the word sorry. She wrote that she had only wanted to protect her son. I drafted a reply and deleted it. I sent a single line instead. The court record speaks for itself. I printed her letter, slid it into the back of my folder, and closed it. On a Saturday, I walked past the hotel where that volunteer training had turned into a chapter heading for someone else. A wedding party lined the steps again, different dresses, same laughter. I went inside to the cafe and ordered tea. The barista asked if I was attending the wedding. I said I was just passing through and that it was a good day for that. I sat by the window with my cup warming my hands and felt the quiet arrive like an old friend who knows the code to the door. When people ask how it ended, I say we followed the paper, and the paper told the truth. I say I kept the apartment and my name. I say my ex apologized and I accepted the apology and the distance. I say I learned that a binder can look like a verdict and still be a prop. At night I sleep without listening for keys I do not want in my lock. In the morning I open the blinds and let the light land where his framed diploma used to hang. The rectangle is still lighter than the rest of the wall. I will paint it when I feel like it. For now I like the reminder that even after something is removed, it takes time for the color to even out. I make coffee that I drink before it goes cold. I step into my life and close the door behind me.